Hi, I'm Debbie Garcia, and welcome to Virtual Visits presented by Versatour. On this week's episode, we're talking to Amanda Cox of the JW Marriott in Marco Island. We were able to snag a few moments with her as we were at the Incentive Research Foundation's Invitational in Marco Island in the beginning of June. Enjoy. Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us.
It is my pleasure to be with you all. It's coming to the last night of what's been a super exciting conference, so I'm excited to take out some time and carve through it with you. We're finishing up a lunch teardown, getting ready for an evening setup, so it just almost feels like we're back to lots of live events, which is beautiful.
Yes, so this was my first time traveling after the pandemic, going on an airplane. We've done some stuff locally, but traveling to paradise and being able to experience this without masks on. Is this the first conference you guys have been able to have, or a large event without people being masked at the event?
That is a good question, and it's going to make me think about it. So our resort's been very fortunate. We never closed. So we have, since April of 2020, which is kind of when we started working with some guidelines for hosting in the new normal, however long that was going to be. From that time until present, we've hosted just over 300 live events. That's everything from a 6-person micro wedding to a 1,200-person conference and everything in between, so wide swath. This is actually the second conference, the first of size. The first one was about 50 people that we've hosted since Marriott International, guided by the CDC's new mask recommendations, has allowed fully vaccinated guests to proceed with conferences, events, and hotel stays unmasked. Now, right now, I am speaking to you as a conference attendee. So I've got my IRF credentials on. My mask is just beside me because my fellow associates in the background, they are still masked, right? And it's only our fully vaccinated associates working outdoors that you would see unmasked. But it has definitely lent a different feeling to the resort, to all of our hotels who are allowed to do so by their local guidelines, to start seeing a few more smiles on the teeth instead of smiles behind the eyes.
It has been a big difference coming on an airplane and then finally getting here and seeing smiling faces again. It feels like some people were a little hesitant the first day, and seeing your staff. I wanted to talk about your staff in particular. This morning, there was the parade of the staff that you introduced, and I did not realize how big your staff was. They have been absolutely incredible, and I love the fact that people didn't come up to you and say, oh, we love the beach, we love this. It was, we loved your staff. And I attest to that. I actually went to a few of them myself this week, and absolutely amazing. So can you talk about, bringing them back and that feeling of, were they laid off for a long time? Is the entire staff back? Where are you guys on that?
No, that's a great question. So we right now at JW Marriott Marco Island have a little under 900 associates working at the resort. So even though it was an impressive parade today, we really only saw the people who were helping out with this morning's functions. There'll be more tonight. So we had about probably 350 of our associates represented today, and we did think there was a lot of power in bringing those faces out in front of our invitational attendees. I think the journey of the last year has made us appreciate people in some really different and maybe more thoughtful ways. But again, as I mentioned, we never closed, so we were very fortunate. This resort pivoted to leisure business really well. Of course, we missed our groups dearly. Very, very dearly. We're so happy to see that segment of our business come back, because it is what this convention resort was built for. It's the majority of our business. But the great upside of that ability to pivot to leisure is those banquet associates who maybe at another hotel may have just been furloughed or out for quite a long time. They were able to work at a pool hut. they were able to serve breakfast in one of our other 12 restaurants that's not a part of the banquet operation. So what I have loved this week is walking throughout what we call the heart of our house, but the part of the hotel you don't see, and seeing so many associates who have been in other uniforms for about a year saying, Miss Amanda, thank you so much. I've got my uniform back on. Right, and in that they're referring to their banquet uniform or their convention setup uniform or their event technology uniform, that's their favorite part of the business. Right. So it's great to see it return. But to answer your first question, at this juncture, we are so fortunate to have 100% of our staff back with us. And we actually have some open positions even above and beyond that because the future looks so bright.
Wow. And that also brings up the curation that you all put into the events you put on here. That it's a blank canvas. You talked about that this morning, that it's not, you didn't come in and we had to fit the conference in. It was the conference dictated it. Certain things that I'm not sure everyone else realized. Now, I come from a catering sales manager background. These are things that I noticed because I would be the person working with the group.
Thinking about those details,
exactly.
Right?
The details down to when we had breakfast in bed outside, when they were wearing their
pajama
shirts for their uniforms. Last night where we were taking off, like we were on an airplane and everyone had different, pilot uniforms on, to the beach, to every theme that has come up. The banquet staff is a part of that theme. How do you do that? Are these themes that you guys have, do you go out and buy uniforms for everyone based on the curated event that you're putting together?
No, it's a great question. That's why I love the term blank canvas, because in any situation, we are led by our customers. And we are in such a blessed situation to have a private beach, own and operate all our restaurants, the golf courses, the spa. So if you fall in love with any space, be it the spa, pool, or a driving range, or we can do an event anywhere you would like. Now, certainly we have customers from all different backgrounds, and everybody has a catering background like you, right? So some of them just want to say, show me your menus and allow me to pick choice A through Z that's been pre-prescribed. That's easier for me. And so we have a very robust collection of what I would call on-the-shelf offerings. We have a super creative culinary and banquet team. So I would be lying if I didn't say that their favorite thing to do probably is to sit down with a meeting planning team, be it a committee, the head of an organization, and talk about, all right, let's go backwards from the purpose. How do we want people to feel? What do we want that lasting experience to be? And let's design something to that. And to your point, when we design and ideate like that, we do go down to the last degree of detail. So if we're doing breakfast in bed, we are going to think about that server being in the pajama shirt and where the actual bed's going to be and how is the floral centerpiece going to look like it's against a headboard. And again, it is amazing. This is my third tour of duty at this resort. And so I've had the pleasure of working with some of our leaders for, in many cases, upwards of 20 years. And I would tell you that they approach each and every event with this fresh level of passion that's amazing.
It's great watching them, or waking up in the morning, in a sense, and seeing that the entire, my room is right here. So
you're looking over the event terrace and seeing the setup.
And I will watch them tear down and put something back up, and it's completely different by linens, centerpieces, setup. It's very impressive what you guys have done. Have you guys had any challenges along the way getting back? You did say that your staff is back, but were there any other hesitancies, especially with staff members not wanting to come and work at events, or guests interaction? And like, how has this pandemic panned out for you guys? Florida has had a different pandemic than other states, and you guys being open a lot longer. There have been challenges that we have had in other cities that you guys may have not had here. Have been any similarities between what's going on here to what is kind of going on in the rest of the world?
No, so I think, everything I think about the last 14 months has been very personal, right? you got on a plane for the first time, you're back to live meetings. It was a really personal decision for you, and I'm sure you had feelings about it. The decision to come and engage in what is by nature, even when we have masks and personal protective equipment, which all of our associates do, it's a higher contact position. That's a very personal decision, right? So we did have a number of associates, and I believe all of them are back now, that chose to remain out of work, and we protected their jobs because maybe they're caring for a family member with a immunocompromised situation. They've got to homeschool a child. Again, there's been a lot of personal decisions, and I love what Stephanie Harris, the president of the IRF, has told us so many times from stage this conference, that we just approach one another's decisions with grace and kindness. Absolutely. So we've really tried to do that for all of our associates. I will also say we've approached associate safety, contact tracing, our own health and security checkpoints for the resort. Those are not checkpoints we impose on our customers, but they are aggressive and appropriate. And I think that has allowed us to gain a greater comfort level for our associates as we've gone through. And they're happy to be back, right? They love seeing the group customers. They love that in-person contact. They love seeing the families who have been vacationing with us for the past year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about rates and compression.
Okay.
Because we're all seeing rates skyrocket, especially on the leisure side. Mm-hmm. And as we're trying to book groups, it seems that some cities have decided, or some hotels have decided, that they're going to put group away because their leisure is doing so well, because group is still unsure. Mm-hmm. Have you guys made any decisions based on that, or do you think that you guys have room for everybody?
I would tell you, this property is a legacy resort. We've been a part of the Marriott portfolio since the 70s. We were traditionally about 40% group, 60% leisure. We specifically built the brand new conference space we've been meeting in this week to flip to 60% group and 40% leisure. We ran that way beautifully for about 2 years prior to COVID-19. And certainly I understand owners and revenue leaders and hotel regional teams. They're having those crucial conversations because you are seeing that ADR compression. We've certainly had them as well. We are very confident that the best decision for JW Marriott Marco Island is a status quo in our traditional mix, which is about 60% group, 40% leisure. Now, we were sold out the entire first quarter of this year, and it was 85% leisure, and we were grateful for it, and it let us keep a lot of associates very, very busy. Our resort operates better with the mix of both. It allows us to give equal attention to each and every guest. And so I think for us, and all hotels are in this journey, right? It's a combination of profitability, top line revenue, and also what does that associate satisfaction and that guest satisfaction look like. So we absolutely think there's room for all. We're in a very seasonal market, which is not dissimilar to Florida, California, Arizona. So we're always going to have those rate fluctuations. But if I look at what a group is going to pay in, say, 2022 or 2023 relative to what they have paid in 2019, it's still going to be highly impacted by the seasonality, but it's not going to be a night and day difference based on some of the leisure compression we've seen this year. We don't, and again, each hotel to their own, so I'm speaking for the JW Marriott Marco Island, but we don't see that as a long-term sustainable trend.
Do you find that we kind of hit a reset button a little bit, and we are still going into the unknown, especially for group and incentive travel? This entire conference is about incentive travel, and they kept talking about the middle, and now we're pushing the bottom and all this kind of stuff.
Boosting the bottom, moving the middle,
and all of these words. And maybe it's not about the top anymore. Do you think that incentive travel may take a back seat, or do you think that it's coming back full swing?
I would tell you, and about 60% of our group business is reward or recognition in nature. So that's our terminology, whether a customer calls it a traditional incentive or they're specifically choosing a destination or allowing activities to reward. So this is a large part of what we do, and I would tell you our conferences that are incentive in nature are way up in booking pace. We're about 25% ahead of where we should be for all of our future years out through 2028. So the numbers would not suggest that right now. But I do think the industry is going through a large new beginning, and sometimes it takes our booking pace a while to catch up with that. But what we really see is a pent-up demand for travel, incentive travel being included. And then I think the other thing that we really see as a trend moving forward, even for the rest of this year, are these amazing room block numbers. We are, minuscule attrition on anything happening in the third and fourth quarter. And I think a lot of our customers had prepared for more hybrid options, and as they're opening registration, that's not what they're seeing from attendees. As more people become vaccinated, more people are getting on the plane for the first time and going, wow, I really want to attend this in person, even if maybe there's a way for me to participate virtually. And so right now, a lot of what we're doing is trying to come alongside our groups for the third and fourth quarter and help fulfill those needs that they didn't anticipate in January or February of this year.
Yeah, the anticipation and not knowing and vaccinating happening faster than we all thought. Like, it's changing every day. You guys are buzzing in here right now, and I want to get to the beach. So I've got a question about exactly what we're doing at VersaTours, virtual site tours.
Yes.
Do you I know that you guys have some. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about where the industry is going and utilizing virtual site tours for event planners to be able to source and getting your visuals out to more planners across the world so you can have more people experience paradise?
We love it. Absolutely. So I think I shared with you when we first talked, we've seen a pre-pandemic need for this, more so than I've seen in some other markets, because we are on a 4x6 mile island off of the Everglades. So you're going to come here specifically for this. You're not going to tag a site visit onto another business trip in the area. There's no one else to see, quite frankly. So we have seen that demand increase, and I think it is going to be one of the trends that really stays with us. I would tell you that, of course, I don't think there's ever anything like getting your toes in the sand. I'm glad you're going to do it later tonight. But the speed to market that virtual tours allow us to have, and we think about the decision-making process that comes for many of our clients. Here's an interesting tidbit, and again, specific to my resort, but our average group of over 200 attendees has 4 different site visits prior to signing a contract. And it's often different levels of the organization. So another thing I see being really useful, perhaps there are some levels of the organization that, yes, maybe they do still need to stand in a ballroom and measure the rigging points and get really granular. But I think there are a lot of levels of the organization that just want to be able to see that visual and don't necessarily need to have that touch it, feel it for their part of the decision-making process. So we're super excited about what you're doing because, again, I think this is going to be one of the technological advances of our business that sustains post-pandemic, or as we learn to live with new versions of COVID-19.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time.
It is my great pleasure.
I want to make sure that your staff is buzzing right here, and there's a huge party tonight that I'm very excited about.
There is. We literally grabbed the quietest corner in my resort with those almost 900 associates buzzing to set up for beach party, and so thank you for your grace in allowing the activity. Yes. But I think it's so great for your audience to see how a buzz it is out in the field.
And it's real. I mean, we didn't stage anything. Like, they're literally walking around and setting up right now. So thank you so much for taking time out of your conference, out of your day, and sharing your beautiful resort with us.
We can't wait to have you back again. Thank you.
Thank you.